Your mind is the battlefield where most of your victories or defeats take place. You can't become emotionally strong if you let your thoughts run wild. You must learn to discipline your mind, or it will discipline you. If you don't take control of your thoughts will take control of your life. You cannot have peace with a chaotic mind. You cannot walk confidently with a narrative of defeat playing over and over again in your head. Emotional strength begins when you stop letting your emotions tell your mind what to think, and you start training your mind to rise above the emotion of the moment. Many people are emotionally weak. They feed their fears more than their faith. They replay the past more than they declare the future. They let every negative thought take up permanent residence. But you were never meant to be a prisoner to your thoughts. You were created to rule them. You were created to be renewed by the transformation of your mind. That means you have to stop giving your energy to thoughts that don't align with where you're going. Every time you entertain a lie, you delay your healing. Every time you agree with defeat, you shut the door on strength. There comes a moment when you have to stop asking, why do I feel like this? And start asking, what have I been thinking about? Because your feelings will always follow your thoughts. You can't feel peaceful while thinking anxious thoughts. You can't feel strong while thinking weak ones. You've got to shift the mental atmosphere. Speak to yourself differently. Call your thoughts into order. Stop letting your mind wander to places that drain you. Just because a thought shows up doesn't mean deserves your attention. You can't control every thought that enters, but you can control which ones stay. Every morning you wake up, your mind is waiting on instructions. It's waiting for your leadership. You have to set the tone. You have to command the direction. That's why some of the most powerful people you'll ever meet have learned how to talk to themselves. Not in doubt, but in strength. They look in the mirror and speak life. They silence lies before they take root. They pray before problems arise. They remind themselves who they are, even when life tries to make them forget. You will start living from reaction instead of intention. You'll be ruled by triggers instead of truth. But when you discipline your mind, you create space for peace. You create room for clarity. You create alignment with who God says you are, instead of who life tried to make you believe you were. There will be moments when old thoughts come knocking, insecurities, regrets. Whoa! Fears. But you don't have to open the door. You don't have to let them back in. Emotional strength says, I hear the noise, but I won't let it move me. It says, yes, that memory still hurts, but I won't dwell there. It says, I may have failed, but I'm not finished. Discipline is not the absence of feeling. It's the decision to respond from wisdom, not emotion. It's time to start thinking like a healed person. Think like someone who believes they're worthy. Think like someone who knows they're chosen. Think like someone who's been through hell, but didn't let it change their vision. When you shift your thinking, you shift your emotional state. When you stop agreeing with the voice of fear, you start hearing the voice of purpose. When you silence the critic in your head, you give the voice of God space to speak clarity into your life. The strongest people aren't those who never struggle with doubt or fear. They're the ones who don't surrender to it. They confront the thought, challenge it, and replace it. You must learn to take every thought captive. Examine it. Ask, does this build me or break me? If it breaks you, release it. If it belittles you, silence it. If it contradicts your healing, remove it. This is the daily discipline of a strong mind. It doesn't just happen by default. It happens by decision. You've been through too much to live with a defeated mindset. You've overcome too much to entertain thoughts that drag you backward. You've survived too many storms to think like a victim. It's time to rise, time to renew, time to reframe. Speak to your mind the way a general speaks to an army, with authority, with focus.
With clarity. Train it, discipline it, lead it, because the mind you master today becomes the strength you carry tomorrow. So, start now. Start now.
Take back your mental territory. Reclaim the parts of your mind that anxiety has occupied. Drive out the lies that insecurity planted. Because you don't just become emotionally strong by hoping it happens. You become strong by taking control of the very thoughts that once controlled you. And when your mind is strong, your emotions fall into alignment. Your life follows suit. And your strength becomes unshakable. Not because life got easier, but because your mind got stronger. There comes a point in your journey where it feels like everything familiar has fallen away. The crowd has grown quiet, the friends have become distant. The phone doesn't ring like it used to. You look around and it seems like the people you once leaned on have faded into the background. Isn't always a punishment. Sometimes it's preparation. Sometimes it's preparation. Sometimes when everyone walks away, it's not rejection, it's revelation. When you're alone, you begin to hear what you couldn't hear in the noise. When you're isolated, you begin to see what was hidden in the crowd. There is something sacred about solitude. It strips away every distraction, every mask, every performance. It confronts you with yourself. And that confrontation is where transformation begins. You learn who you are without the approval of others. You learn how to breathe without applause. You learn how to survive without needing validation. In isolation, God doesn't show you what the world wants. He shows you who you are becoming. He reveals what needs to be healed. He shows you the wounds you've ignored. He uncovers the fears you've buried. He surfaces the anger you've dressed up as strength. See, the crowd can make you feel comfortable, but it rarely makes you complete. Sometimes you've got to step away from the noise to hear your own soul speak. That's why people often grow the most in the seasons they feel the most alone. Because when the crowd is gone, the masks fall off. When the conversations fade, your real thoughts rise. And when the distractions are removed, discipline is built. Don't despise isolation. Embrace it. Use it. Let it sharpen your discernment. Let it fine-tune your vision. Let it detox your soul. Some people had to walk away because their presence was blinding you from your purpose. Some relationships had to fade because their energy was draining your strength. Some connections had to break because they were never designed to go where you're going. It's a doorway. It's the beginning of a new chapter, not the end of an old one.
You will never discover your full emotional strength if you're always leaning on someone else's support. There's a level of strength that's only developed when it's just you, God, and your thoughts. When you wake up and realize, it's on me today. When you make peace with the silence.
When you stop checking who's still with you and start checking who you've become.
That's when your vision sharpens. Sometimes isolation teaches you to stop needing attention, to stop needing affirmation, to stop needing company, and to start depending on the presence of God like never before. Because if He allowed you to be alone, it wasn't to abandon you, it was to anoint you.
It was to prepare you, to strengthen you in places where you were once weak, to develop spiritual muscles that only grow in silence. Emotional strength doesn't just come from who's with you. It comes from who you become when no one else is. The wilderness becomes your classroom. The silence becomes your training ground. The waiting becomes your proving season. And all of a sudden, the things that used to make you feel small don't hit the same anymore. The opinions that used to shake you don't carry weight anymore. The people who left you no longer define your worth. Because isolation teaches you to carry your own oil, to stir up your own joy, to find strength in your own quiet time. You don't depend on the crowd when you've learned how to walk through the dark with just a whisper of faith and a flicker of hope. So, you know what that's like, to cry alone, to pray alone, to break down alone, and yet still keep going, still keep building, still keep believing. That's what emotional strength looks like. So don't resent the season of isolation. It's not a step back. It's a step deeper. A step into healing. A step into healing. A step into clarity. A step into power. This is the place where distractions are stripped and destiny is revealed. Where weakness is faced and wisdom is born. Where emotions are stabilized and identity is strengthened. You are not being left behind. You are being lifted up.
You are not being rejected. You are being refined. And when the season shifts and people begin to return, you'll no longer need their presence to validate your worth. You'll no longer depend on their attention to feel strong, because you've already been strengthened in the quiet place.
You've already found your value in the secret place. And now you stand not because of the crowd, but because of your character. Not because of company, but because of your core. That's what isolation teaches. That's what turns loneliness into leadership. That's what transforms silence into strength. And that, day by day, is how you become emotionally unshakable. Alone, but never abandoned. Isolated, but always in process. Set apart, but never broken. Everyone wants the breakthrough. Everyone wants the promotion, the blessing, the platform, the answered prayer. But not everyone is willing to embrace the process it takes to get there. Emotional strength is not built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows. It's not formed in the celebration. It's formed in the struggle. And if you want to become emotionally strong day by day, you must learn to embrace the process, not just the breakthrough. Because the process is where God does his deepest work. The process is where patience is forged, where faith is refined, and where identity is secured. See, we live in a world that rushes everything. Fast results, instant validation, quick success. But emotional strength doesn't grow in shortcuts. It grows in the slow, silent seasons when it feels like nothing is changing. When you keep showing up, even when you don't feel like it. Just because it hurts doesn't mean it's not helping. Just because you don't see fruit yet doesn't mean the seed isn't growing. There's something powerful that happens in the waiting. Waiting builds endurance. Waiting teaches humility. Waiting teaches trust. That's the kind of strength that doesn't need perfect conditions to thrive. It just needs a heart willing to grow through the process day by day. Every scar has a story. And every story holds strength, not weakness. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the pain you've overcome. Just keep walking in your healing. Just keep speaking your truth. Just keep being living evidence that you can carry pain and still be powerful. That you can cry and still lead. That you can grieve and still grow.
They told you to be strong, but never taught you how to be whole. They told you to move on, but never told you what to do with the pain you carry in your chest at 2 a.m. They told you a time heals all wounds, but time only delays what you don't confront. There comes a time when you must stop numbing your emotions and start facing the storm within you. You cannot become emotionally strong while denying what's breaking you. You cannot heal what you refuse to feel. You've got to stop running from the very thing that holds the power to build you up. Your tears are not your weakness. They are evidence that your heart still feels. Don't suppress the storm. Stand in it. Learn to let it rain. Let it thunder. Let it shake you, rattle you, press you, and then let it refine you. You are not made to break down. You are made to break open. And the only way to become strong day by day is to stop hiding the very pain that's been trying to grow you. There is no power in pretending. There is only bondage. You've been carrying silent battles and wearing loud smiles, and it's time to bring that war to the surface. Because when you start owning your story stops owning you. You reclaim your power the moment you stop asking for permission to be real. Yes, they left you. Yes, it hurt. But you survived. And survival is not your ending, it's your starting point. Start speaking to yourself like someone worth fighting for. Don't keep replaying what went wrong. Start focusing on what went right. And that's proof that what wounded you will never define you. Your mind is either your battleground or your throne room. You've got to discipline your thoughts like a warrior trains his sword. Every day, speak life over your own soul. Stop letting fear narrate your story. Stop letting insecurity interrupt your progress, because what you feed your mind will eventually form your life. You cannot conquer what you keep entertaining. You must confront every lie that tells you you're not enough. You must silence every echo from the past that tells you you're still broken. No, you are being built. You are not buried. You are planted. Your pain isn't punishment, it's preparation. And when people walk out and the crowd grows silent and you find yourself alone, don't curse the silence. Don't resent the isolation. That's where the real transformation begins. Isolation is not rejection, it's redirection. It's where God reveals the version of you that doesn't need applause to be powerful, that doesn't need validation to feel valuable, that doesn't need company to find clarity. When the process feels long, when progress feels slow, don't be discouraged. You don't get emotionally strong in a weekend. You grow into it day by day. Every tear you cried in secret is watering something sacred in your soul. Trust the process. God doesn't waste pain. He shapes it, he molds it, and he will use it to build you into someone unshakable. Stop asking for deliverance from the process that's developing your character. Every painful moment is a brick in your foundation. Every closed door is a detour to something greater. Emotional strength is not about how loud you roar. It's about how deeply you trust when everything around you is silent. And when it's all said and done, your scars will not speak of your shame. They will speak of your survival. Your wounds will no longer whisper defeat. They will shout victory. Because what was meant to break you built you. What was sent to crush you crowned you. And what once hurt you helped you. So stand tall. Walk forward. Cry if you must, but don't stop. Crawl if you must, but don't give up. Because day by day you are transforming pain into power. Would you like the SEO description, keywords, hashtags and timestamps for this speech as well? They told you to be strong, but never prepared you for what that really meant. They said a stay positive, a stay busy, a move on, but never told you how to deal with the storm that brews quietly inside you when everything outside looks calm. We live in a world that teaches us to suppress our emotions instead of process them, to cover pain with productivity, to cover grief with a fake grin, to bury heartache under a to-do list. But if you're going to become emotionally strong day by day, you must first stop numbing your emotions. You must learn to face the storm, not with fear, but with faith. We all have storms. Some of us are just better at hiding them. You can dress up the outside and still be falling apart on the inside. You can post a smile while carrying silent screams in your soul. But strength doesn't come from pretending the storm isn't there. Real strength comes from standing in it, vulnerable, exposed, raw, and choosing to walk through it anyway. You'll never transform pain into power by avoiding what's hurting you. You've got to sit with it. You've got to feel it. You've got to listen to what your emotions are trying to say, because pain is a messenger. It reveals what still matters, what still hurts, what still needs healing. When you numb your emotions, you also numb your capacity to grow. And if you keep avoiding what's uncomfortable, you'll keep circling the same emotional mountains, wondering why you're not getting stronger. The truth is, what you don't deal with will deal with you. That anger you bury. It will rise in traffic, in relationships, in random moments that confuse even you. That sadness you silenced, it will resurface in sleepless nights and deep loneliness. That betrayal you never talked about, it will infect your trust and poison your peace. You cannot walk into emotional strength while dragging around emotional debris. You've got to face it, not to relive it, but to release it. Facing the storm requires courage. Not the kind of courage that roars, but the kind that whispers, I'm not okay, but I'm still showing up. The kind that admits, yes, I'm hurting, but I'm not going to hide. You don't become strong by denying what's real. You become strong by dealing with it, one day at a time, one emotion at a time, one truth at a time. You have to stop running from the things that scare you emotionally and start sitting with them, learning from them, understanding what they're teaching you. Because your emotions are not your enemies, they're indicators. They point to deeper wounds, deeper needs, deeper longings. Some of us were raised in homes where crying was called weakness, where being vulnerable was dangerous, where showing emotion meant you were unstable. So we grew up learning how to bottle everything inside. We learned how to suffer in silence. We mastered the art of looking put together while being torn apart. But how long will you carry that burden alone? How long will you keep hiding behind strength that isn't even real? Emotional strength is not about keeping it all together. It's about being honest enough to say, this hurts, and brave enough to face it anyway. There is healing in the truth. There is power in the process. And there is transformation in the storm. But you must stop numbing your emotions if you ever want to walk in your full strength. Numbing doesn't just rob you of your pain. It robs you of your passion. It dulls your creativity. It blocks your vision. It disconnects you from others. You can't be fully alive and emotionally numb at the same time. If you want real freedom, you've got to go through the fire, not around it, not above it. Through it, that's where your healing is. When you begin to feel again, really feel, the pain will come, but so will the peace, so will the wisdom, so will the wisdom, so will the release, and suddenly the things that used to trigger you won't affect you the same way. The things that used to break you down will begin to build you up. You'll start to notice your own growth. You'll see how far you've come. Because every time you choose to feel instead of flee, you build your emotional muscles. You become stronger. Not because the pain disappeared, but because you learned how to walk through it without being consumed by it. And no, it won't happen overnight. Becoming emotionally strong is not a one-time decision. It's a daily one. It's waking up and deciding that you will no longer run from your truth. It's looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I owe it to myself to heal. I owe it to my future to stop hiding. I owe it to my peace to stop suppressing. Because every time you suppress what you feel, you suffocate the person you're meant to become. You may cry, you may scream, you may tremble, but don't you quit, don't you hide, don't you numb it again just because it's uncomfortable. Feel it and keep walking. Feel it and keep praying. Feel it and keep healing. That's where your strength is born. Not in escaping the storm, but in enduring it. You weren't created to be emotionally fragile. You were created to overcome. But overcoming doesn't happen in denial. It happens in truth. It happens when you finally say, I'm done running. I'm done hiding. I'm ready to feel, to heal, and to become. And when you do that, day by day, you'll start transforming the very pain that once held you captive into a power that will set others free. That's emotional strength, not built in the absence of pain, but in the courage to face it and come out stronger. You can't heal what you refuse to own. You can't grow from what you keep blaming others for. And you will never rise into your power until you reclaim your story, the whole story, the whole story. The beautiful parts and the broken parts, the celebrated chapters and the silent ones, the pages you wish you could rewrite and the moments you tried to forget. If you want to become emotionally strong day by day, you must take back ownership of your narrative. Because the longer you live like a victim of your past, the more you give your power away to it. Too many people are waiting for someone else to come along and validate their pain, when what they really need is to look in the mirror and say, this happened, but it won't define me. That's where your healing begins. You stop looking outward for closure and start looking inward for understanding. You stop asking why they did it and start asking, what can I learn from it? You stop saying, this broke me, and start declaring, this built me. That's the power of owning your story. You take back control. You take back your peace. You take back your strength. Nobody else can live your truth but you. Nobody else can make sense of your journey the way you can. It doesn't matter if people don't understand your pain. It matters that you do. Wakanda. It doesn't matter if they downplay your scars. It matters that you honor them. Every experience you've been through shaped something in you. It shaped your discernment. It shaped your strength. It shaped your awareness. Even the seasons of betrayal, abandonment, rejection, they taught you how to see, how to protect your peace, how to find God when no one else could be found. There's something powerful about refusing to be ashamed of what you've survived. Because shame is the lie that tells you you're unworthy because of what you've been through. But when you own your story, shame loses its grip, guilt loses its voice, and regret loses its weight. You begin to move differently, you begin to speak differently, because you're no longer pretending. You're no longer hiding. You've faced it, embraced it, and now you're using it. That's how pain turns into purpose. That's how wounds become wisdom. Reclaiming your story doesn't mean you excuse what was done to you. It doesn't mean you justify the pain. It means you're no longer giving that pain permission to lead your life. It means you're not waiting for an apology to move forward. It means you're done waiting for someone else to acknowledge your worth. You've already decided it for yourself. The people who didn't see your value don't get to write the rest of your life. The people who mishandled your heart don't get to shape your future. That's yours to write now. Emotional strength comes when you say, I won't hide from who I've been. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you stayed too long. Yes, you ignored red flags. But that doesn't make you weak. That makes you human. What makes you strong is that you're still standing. What makes you powerful is that you didn't let it stop you. You cried, but you rose. You broke, but you healed. You doubted, but you still moved forward. That's what power looks like. That's what rising looks like. You reclaim your story when you stop trying to impress people and start trying to be real. The more you pretend, the more disconnected you become from your true self. And the more disconnected you are, the more powerless you feel. But when you start being honest about where you've been, what you've felt, and what you've learned, you unlock a new level of freedom. You stop performing, you stop proving, and you start becoming. You don't need to be perfect to inspire someone. You just need to be real. You don't need to have it all together to walk in purpose. You just need to be willing to keep showing up with your truth, because your truth will set you free. And not only that, it will set others free too. When you reclaim your story, your life becomes a testimony, a blueprint, a light for someone else in the dark. You become a living example that you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. You don't have to have it all figured out to be strong. You just have to be willing to rise. And every day that you choose to own your story, you grow stronger. Every day that you look at your past without shame, you gain power. Every day that you stop hiding and start healing, your emotional roots go deeper. So don't be afraid of where you've been. Don't be afraid of what you've walked through. That fire didn't burn you, it forged you. That wilderness didn't break you, it birthed you. Reclaim your story, stand in your truth, and watch how your pain becomes your power. Your past becomes your platform, and your scars become signs of survival. Because emotional strength is not just about moving forward. It's about knowing exactly what you came out of, and never forgetting the grace that brought you through.